Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. Thank you so much for the organizers of this colloquium for inviting me. I'm very grateful to be among excellent and expert people like you. I'm going to talk about food after lunch. Who of you is from the KSA? Do you know anything about the food systems in the KSA? I will try to make this session as interactive as possible. Who of you is from Oman? Ali, can you differentiate or tell me what is the food form pertaining to your country? Who of you is from Qatar? Probably participants online. So let's move forward.
استطلاعية لاستهلاك
The survey studies indicate the important role of food systems in Arab countries, and it helps us in identifying possible risks and evaluate from risk assessment and risk management. What do I mean by risk assessment? Do you know what we mean by risk assessment?
So
these information are important mainly for decision makers,
الرعاية الصحية ولكم
doctors and scientists, or health practitioners, and to you, entities and organizations working on regional and international standards. Who knows who was the first one who established the food system? The Food Safety Commission in Europe was the first one involved in assessing the safety of food. We know very well that risk assessment starts at the blue shape, which is the selection of appropriate source of food consumption in a way that allows us to calculate the evaluation of food exposure based on the representative local consumption. We can see if we are exposed to poisons or specific substances, and based on that, we define the standards and metrologies. This is why we need food consumption so that we can define the Arab standards. There are several ways to evaluate the food consumption. We have the food balance sheets. We have household consumption and expenditure surveys. Both of these ways are not ideal. The ideal way was the individual food consumption surveys. And I would like to ask one of you a question, Dr. Zuwain, for example. What are the individual food consumption surveys? Would you like me to define this concept? I think it's a program or an investigation that we can do to collect data on food consumption in each country for each individual. Yes, thank you, Ali. Can we know through the individual food consumption surveys know the actual consumption of individuals and have disaggregated data for males and females related to consumption? You can cheat from the screen. Without cheating, I think that yes, through surveys, we can know the amount or the volume of consumption for both males and females. I have a question, if I may, since this session is interactive. My question is, Are these actual dates or approximate data? These are actual data. I meant the results. Are they actual results or estimated results? It's actual measurements. They give us real actual measurements, but the ones for the household consumption are only like are not actual. However, this requires representative sample size of the targeted respondents, and this imposes a challenge. In addition to that, such surveys require a lot of financing, and they impose a challenge. And we usually in the Arab countries love challenges. This is why we have held the first meeting to address this issue. Our meeting was in Doha, and the main purpose of this meeting was to look into lack of individual consumption surveys in Arab countries. We had several objectives, the first of which is mapping Arab IFCS published and unpublished to make them accessible to stakeholders. The other objective was to contribute to the methodological development of individual food consumption data uh, based on which we define the Arabic metrics. We have also set a third objective, which is to invest in the practical aspects by conducting updating individual food consumptions in all Arab countries. Our procedures was first to look for food frequency questionnaires that are validated. Those questionnaires that help us to obtain information on food. Then we moved to searching the searching strategy regarding food tables and recipes. Then we searched uh, for studies regarding the individual food consumption surveys. The most important results appeared as following. Validated FFQ in Arabic countries are only in Jordan and Kuwait. For adults, we had only about 7 countries, and for elderly, it was only in Lebanon. As per the pregnant women, it was also a very small number. Then we moved to learn about the food composition database. We found that 13 countries only have these database, and I want to say that we were one of the first teams which have prepared food composition tables, through which we also helped Al-Quds University with the support from the WHO to establish the first Arabic platform for food composition tables in the Arab world. As per the individual consumption surveys, the winners were Tunisia, Palestine, Bahrain, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, there is no information or any studies recently on individual consumption surveys. We have a winner here. So unfortunately, there aren't ICSs. In addition to that, there are no studies or national surveys in Arab countries to evaluate or to do the risk assessment pertaining to exposure to contaminants in food. Despite the efforts of our colleagues in the Arab world, they are not national, they are not representative. What were our executive steps? We have established the network for food consumption surveys in the Arab countries from all the following countries that you see. We have also developed the Arab Food Frequency Questionnaire, which is common for all of us. We have unified Arab countries, and we have also founded for the Arab Individual Dietary Intake Platform, which include information for grams per individual per day, which will be available and accessible by everyone. In addition to something very important, for the first time, we provided defined the Arab food classifications. In your opinion, what are the challenges that we are facing now? Now we are facing lack of financing. We need financing for those scientific researchers to conduct researches in the Arab countries. There are main obstacles, but our fellow experts try to overcome these obstacles when it comes to logistics, technology, and technical obstacles. Our future steps include to train experts in the Arab countries and to move between Arab countries to provide this training. Now, I would like to share with you our Lebanese experience in conducting the first national food consumption survey on 3,050 people of all age categories from 6 months until over 65 years, which has indicated this was, of course, the first study that was published last week in one of the verified international journals on the Lebanese National Food Consumption Survey and how food is consumed among adults. Then we move to 6 months to 12 months. This is what children between these ages are consuming. The consumption is 1 gram per person per day. Look at the sweets. Can you see how much sweets they are consuming? From 3 to 5 years, also, this is the consumption. Here you can see from the age of 10 to 18. And I would like to point out that what you see on the left is the recommended consumption based on the Mediterranean region. And here is what our elderly people are consuming. Now I will share with you another study pertaining to risk assessment uh, from being exposed um, to, to mycotoxin dietary exposure. After collecting information on mycotoxins and after testing what Lebanese people are eating, we moved to risk assessment and we tried to calculate what is being consumed as an estimate and which toxins we are exposed to and what are the risks we are exposed to from the exposure to these mycotoxins and their consumption uh, and how there is an increase of the risk of suffering from kidney cancer because of being exposed to AFM1, OTA, DON, and AFB1. Every day we are exposed to a large number of toxins within all the food groups, and the risk is increased when we consume rice, burgula, manaish, white bread, yogurt, and labne. And uh, more even when we consume za'atar, thyme, kishk, and kibbe. And this way, I can assure that we have destroyed tourism. This also increased the rates of suffering from liver cancer. We have 100,000 people suffering from liver for people between the age 18 to 22. This, of course, exceeds the recommended consumption rate of the AFB1 and consuming white bread and manaish increases the health risk of being exposed to DON. AFM1 is also increased and very high in dairy products, especially in Lebanon and Lebanon, yogurt and Lebanon. Also consuming za'atar, which is thyme, increases the health risk by being exposed to AFB1. Kishk and kibbe in Lebanon increase the risk of uh, being vulnerable to liver cancer, which is 0.02 over 100,000 annually by being exposed to the AFB1. As you can see on the screen, this is the percentage or the rate of the different food groups in being exposed to AFB1. 70% is for grains and starch, 20% for traditional foods, 8.6 for spices and herbs, 0.2% for oils, and 1.2 for nuts. Your colleagues from Arab countries will collaborate with you to conduct this survey so that we can achieve our common objective, which is to set 100% Arab standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Do you have any question to Dr. Maha on her presentation? Would you like to? Can I ask a question? Let's take the questions. Yes, go ahead with your question. The doctor indicated the use of time as an example. So the study, according to the study, time exposes the individual to AFM1 and might cause liver cancer. So should we, and is it due to the conditions where the time was stored or fungus? As for the samples that were inspected or analyzed, were included a multiple samples. According to the test, they and as for the conditions, they play a great role and how the time is stored. Usually people store it under the place or under the sink where they wash the dishes, and this increases the humidity. Regarding awareness in Lebanon, regarding the methods of storage, and do not apply only to time, but also to cereals and flour. And regarding this part, I adore thyme. And regarding the conditions of storage or the processing method might lead to those hazards. What's your message here? Not to eat thyme at all or to store it properly? This presentation applies to Lebanon, and you are from Egypt, and I believe that there are certain similarities between the two countries. The method of storage of time after being grinded play a role into preventing producing AFM1. Thank you very much for the fruitful presentation. I had a question. When can I use this sample that you took for food survey is a representative sample? For instance, for a country like Lebanon, the survey included participants. Do you think that this is an adequate number of sampling? And as for the participants, were they residing in the villages or in the cities? Can you elaborate more on this point? Maybe we can copy your experience and copy the same survey. Our calculations were done before collecting data from people or from the participants. The Ministry of Social Affairs provided us with the number of population and the different segments of society from different age groups, and we formed the clusters from each governorate, we would choose certain individuals. We worked in 3 or 4 cities. However, the rural and urban factors were taken into consideration in addition to the socio-economic conditions and the socio-demographic conditions as well. So, and we chose the segments of society who suffer from the different hard conditions that Lebanon is going through. And your the other second part of the question, whether it represents the population in Lebanon, the answer is yes. And this project needs to be reiterated or repeated every 5 years. And the first we started collecting data in writing, and we were keen to register and write accurate information. Thank you very much for your hard work, and the information you provided are quite interesting. And I believe that you have caused damage not only to tourism, but also to the health care sector. Can we consider these results to be official? Which ministry that had adopted these results or this survey, and how it was reflected on the country? In a country like Lebanon, what's the next step for the government to mitigate those risks? We had a meeting with within the next 2 weeks, we will have a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture to present the findings of this survey. And also, we have a meeting with the Minister of Health as well to talk about the findings of children milk and cows milk. And the objective of this survey is monitoring and evaluation. And we conduct this kind of studies to invoke and encourage the official entities to take brave measures regarding the recommendations and to expedite the execution. Within the next phase, we have planned meetings with a number of ministers and some persons who are interested in our data. And regarding your question, whether adopting our results and this study did not stop here. We did not stop at explaining what the Lebanese are going through. The study had covered the youth, the adolescents, the children, the pregnant women, and the elderly. And I believe that the ministers were aware of our efforts. And I believe at the local level and of course, we had already previously conducted several meetings with Dr. Lamour and with the Standards and Meteorology Institution in Lebanon, where we discussed several issues and topics. And here we want to find out, are the European standards suitable for our country or our Arab peoples? Do we need to amend them to have them localized? Before the last couple of questions, Doctor, go ahead with your question. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Doctor. Lebanon is considered to be a pioneer in the field of nutrition. However, my comment relates to Engineer Mariam's comment. Can we present this information or the findings of the study within the conditions that Lebanon is going through? Can it be prioritized, or because is there lack of balance in Lebanon in the field of nutrition? I believe when you conducted the study and on the children and the elderly, did you take into consideration if I want to find a nutritional value in the products I want to feed the new generations with, are they affordable? These are important factors. You need to provide a limitation to your study because we cannot take it as is. And I believe that the political conditions should not be considered as a priority. How what I meant is that Lebanon at the moment is going through hardships and can I believe there's a number of since I'm a doctor of nutrition and nutritious industry, there were several articles that were published by the nutrition. It's it's not so the study provided or concluded to finding that we cannot connect food with cancer. I believe there is a biochemistry mechanism that needs to be adopted in order to reach such findings. I think that we need to be a little bit more accurate during the present while we present these findings. We truly appreciate what you have said, and but I don't expect that one study is enough. I'm not talking about the size of the sample. In statistics, we do not look at the size of the sample because every individual is a representative. Even if you adopted the cluster method, each segment in society should be included in the study. Do you think that one study can be streamlined for the whole of Lebanon, or should there be a theory review for all the work that had been conducted in order to reach a recommendation to be applicable on Lebanon and then copied in other studies? You have raised too many questions. I'll try to answer as much as possible. First, the types of food items are already available in almost every household in Lebanon, and these are affordable items. And the study and the food items are already consumed by the adults and the elderly. And with regards to risk assessment, it's usually connected or provides a connection between food items and cancer. Cancer. Maybe Dr. Eli can show us a slide that indicates the relationship between certain items of food and cancer. In the risk assessment at the end of the presentation. The one. This is the one. In the world of risk assessment, these calculations are well known. Everybody knows about them. And the estimations indicate that for the non-European countries, the intake of 1 nanogram will increase where AFB1 and the AFM1. And because without these calculations, we wouldn't be able to establish the association between the food we intake and the diseases connected to them. Our working team is quite large, and we created a biomarker due to the injection of biotoxins and rare disease among children. And I believe that the study will be published in an international journal. We registered the total bio intake. We sent and the representative a number of samples was covered by 100%, and it's not only one study. We have conducted too many studies on Google. You can search for that. However, not all of them were representative. However, this study is representative. Thank you very much for your answer, Dr. Khaled. Thank you very much. A risk assessment is part of my interest, and your efforts are appreciated. My question regarding the risk assessment exposure, especially the exposure studies, what is the shortest period to be applied in order to reach or in order to conduct data connection? And as you know that the exposure studies encounter a lot of challenges. What my question is, what is the shortest period in to be able to collect data related to exposure? It depends on the recommendations that we usually rely on. They claim within 6 months up to 1 year. During this period, you'll be able to collect representative data. However, in the first phase, if you didn't conduct risk assessment on small segments of society, then it would be better to start with a pilot study to see how the conditions are going on, and then to go to representative statistics. And if you have funding, for example, when we worked with the elderly segment, I finished the study within 5 months because we had funding during that time. We had a discussion with one of the experts regarding risk assessment, and he said that we can conduct statistical studies if we target certain food items, such as dates and dairies, for a large segment of society within 2 days, and be able to provide a recommendation. So do you think that a 2 days period is sufficient? I don't think so. We usually cover seasonal periods, meaning, and we take and we conduct the study between the 2 seasons, at the end of the first season and at the beginning of the next season, in order to be more accurate in our findings. Thank you very much. Dr. Khaled had asked part of my question, so I will move to the second question. Regarding the study that you have conducted, mainly the homemade food items, did you take into consideration the methods of cooking? And because it differs from one country to the other. And regarding aflatoxin, did you conduct a study for feed? There is a limitation for the study because if you want to conduct an association, you have to conduct a total data study. However, you need at least $500,000 to conduct the statistics, collect data, and to conduct laboratory tests accurately, and to have composite samples. For each meal, we have to take 2 samples. There's a complete concept with a complete criteria for this study, for this concept of study. You also asked about methods of cooking. I also provided tables for the recipes of food. For instance, how mjaddara is cooked and how mansaf is cooked in Jordan. All these methods are taken into consideration by item or by food unit in order to be able to accurately calculate the risk assessment. The last question, did you conduct a study on mother's milk to see if there are any if aflatoxins exist? No, we did not. Any other questions? I have a question regarding exposure. You have investigated a group of food products to conduct the exposure calculations. Did you draw any comparisons between each product and if it and also its value regarding the exposure? Because and did you you said about comparison with what? Comparison between the products that you investigated in and the individual consumption. Yes, we have chosen, for instance, manakish, white bread, etc. Based on that, we have conducted.
Thank you for your presentation. You have some very interesting insights, particularly in
شكرا على العرض.
and mycotoxins. So thank you. But I have a broader question that may or may not be in the scope. We frequently in Codex committees hear the WHO and FAO representatives indicate that they would like more consumption data from more countries. Does this initiative have any connection to that? Are there elements of this or future plans that might address that?
Of course, because we presented already that we are in process of developing further steps, and we are looking forward to do the food consumption data or the surveys of food consumption in each Arab country. In this way, we will have the Arab food consumption database. Based on this database, we will calculate the values for the cutoff for each value for each item or for each mycotoxin or contaminant or etc.
Thank you.